Hello, everybody. It's Feltbuzz, and I am going to be doing an author reading from my paperback copy of Voices in the Darkness, Tales from the Steam Blockchain. My story, one of 8 in this book. They're all around about 30 pages long. I'm going to read you the first 3 pages of my story. It's called The Telltale Dead, and I hope you enjoy it. I don't believe in ghosts, Moira said, her voice steady and unwavering despite the feeling of panic that surged within her. Go away and leave me alone. The woman, or rather the translucent feminine form that floated in front of her, shimmered slightly. Moira had the distinct impression she was being laughed at. Do you think it matters? The woman said, her voice a loud whisper that made the hairs on the back of Moira's neck stand up, whether you believe in ghosts or not. She laughed properly then, and as she threw her head back, Moira thought it might fall off, because there was a gaping wound from one side of her neck to the other. She could hear the spine creak. Ghosts believe in you, Moira, my dear. That's all that counts. If you stop believing in gravity, you don't suddenly start floating all over the place, do you? As if to illustrate the point, the woman rose into the air. Moira shook her head and stepped back, banging the back of her legs against the bath. She tottered, almost falling backwards. Careful, dear. You don't want to contaminate the crime scene any more than you have already. I died in that bath. Neil always was a lazy bastard when it came to cleaning. He's bound to have missed a bit. Moira pulled the bag from her shoulder and began rummaging in it. Dr. Morgan had warned her that the hallucinations might come back if she reduced the dose. Where were they? What are you doing, dear? The hallucination said. Looking for my pills, Moira said, answering without thinking. From the corridor outside the door she heard the creak of a floorboard. You all right? Neil. Come to check up on her. The hallucination smiled at Moira, nodded towards the door, and mouthed, Nosy bastard. I'm fine. Her voice sounded shaky now. Thought I heard voices. Just work, Moira said, pouring the contents of her bag onto the bathroom floor. Calling me. On my mobile. Moira was aware she was blabbering. She felt under pressure, what with the image of her dead friend in front of her, smirking at her in that way that she knew full well Moira didn't like, and the man, accused of her murder, standing right outside the door. She forced out a laugh. It sounded like a sob. You can't even take a piss in a piece nowadays, can you? No, suppose not. Well, if you're sure you're okay. Yes, thank you, Neil. I'm fine. I'll leave you to it then. Thanks, Neil. Audrey, or rather Moira's hallucination of Audrey, winked at her. He always fancied you, you know. Oh, please, why don't you just fuck off? Pardon? No, sorry, not you, Neil. Just work again. Oh, okay. I'll see you downstairs. This time, Moira listened carefully to the sound of Neil's retreating footsteps on the stairs. Audrey was laughing. He's probably more a little concerned, having a copper lurking around in the room where he killed his wife. I bet he wished he installed that downstairs toilet I'd always wanted. I'm not a copper, Moira said, picking up the contents of her bag off the floor and throwing them into her bag. No pills. I work in IT. I'm a civilian, not a police officer. She looked at Audrey directly in the eye, or rather right through it at the patterned bathroom tiles beyond. As you well know. Either way, I bet he's shitting himself. Serves him right. Now, you can help me nail the bastard? Moira looked at, or rather through, her best friend. Even if I accept that you are not a figment of my imagination, or my illness, that you are a... She took a deep breath. A ghost? She folded her arms. How on earth do you think I'm going to help nail him? You aren't officially dead. You were last seen 100 miles away. Neil has an alibi. There's no reason to think he killed you. So unless you can come up with some evidence I can show to someone in authority, I would suggest you just disappear into whatever bottle you came out of and let me get on with my day. I'm a ghost, darling. Audrey said, her hands on her hips, looking as she always had done when she was alive. Other than being see-through, of course. Not a fucking genie. I don't live in a bottle. Moira wondered if it was appropriate to ask her where she did live. When she wasn't appearing to old friends in her bathroom, that is. Deciding it probably wasn't, she stayed silent. Neil planned it carefully. I'll give him that. Or rather, I suspect it was his whore who did the planning. Neil always was better at following orders than giving them. Now, so happens I can tell you exactly where to find my phone and my body. Will that be enough to be getting on with? Moira didn't answer straight away. Firstly, she wasn't sure if an answer was necessary, as she was still convinced the ghost of her friend was in fact a hallucination of some kind. It was either a product of her illness, a secret she kept from work and all but her closest friends, Audrey being one of the trusted few, and it was long kept at bay with medication and therapy. Or, perhaps the most likely explanation, a grief reaction. Okay, well, that's the first 900 words or so of my story. Do you want to know what happened? You better buy the book. Better buy the book. Buy it. I'm not trying to influence you in any way. Look into the eyes. Look into the eyes. Buy the book. It's up to you. You don't have to buy the book. You don't have to buy the book. You don't. You do not have to buy the book. Anyway, I'll see you later. Hope you enjoyed my little author reading. Love ya. Steam on.